Welcome to the Darwinian Delusions channel. Today what I'm going to be covering is universal common ancestry. Now there's some extravagant claims which are made by some overzealous Darwinists, and they claim universal common ancestry is a no-brainer, equivalent to reality denial, and is something which only insane people would reject. Now what I wanted to show is why we need to be very careful when we hear about certain conclusions which are made by scientists. Now this is one of the conclusions of Alexander Opin, an evolutionary biologist, and this is from the Journal of Theoretical Biology. It is highly probable that all life will eventually trace back to just one ancestor. Now when you hear there's a particular evolutionary biologist, and here we have a evolutionary journal which is peer-reviewed, and this is what they've concluded, it seems very substantial. It seems like this is clear evidence. But what we need to do as rational people is always question the conclusions which are put forth in front of us. Now what I wanted to do was actually read this conclusion in its actual context. When life first arises from non-living materials, notice that's an assumption. It alters the environment so as to make subsequent startups much less probable. That's another assumption. Generalizing this point, let us suppose that each new startup makes the next one less probable. If we add to this idea the process of the extinction of family names, we have the skeleton of an argument. It is highly probable that all life will eventually trace back to just one ancestor if enough time elapses from the date of the first startup. So there's at least three assumptions involved before you get to the conclusion that it's highly probable that all life will eventually trace back to just one ancestor. Now there's nothing wrong if somebody says, I believe universal common ancestry is probable, even though there are some assumptions involved. And remember, whenever we are trying to reconstruct something which happened approximately 4 billion years ago, and also take into account that 99.999% of species are unobserved, they've never been seen, not fossils, we haven't got them alive today. So considering the incredibly large data set which is missing, and the incredibly long time ago that life was first observed on Earth, it is bound to be speculative, whatever you try and come up with. So whenever you hear certain conclusions, always ask, what are the assumptions involved? What are some of the conceptual problems which are involved? What is it based on? And a lot of the times it's actually based on Bayesian probabilities, and obviously those themselves also have assumptions. Now if you want to find out more reasons why Darwinian evolution is speculative, based on assumptions, and the disputes which exist amongst secular academics, make sure you subscribe.